Radha, Kuj Bihari, की जय, प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
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 ओम ज्ञानातिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथं वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान् सहगना ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिने नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So, I'd like to wish everybody a happy festive season. Diwali is tomorrow. Most wonderful Govardhan Puja is on Sunday. Also the installation anniversary, the appearance anniversary of Shri Shri Radha Kunja Bihari. Most wonderful day. Also the appearance anniversary of our most beloved deity Shri Shri Radha Giridhari. So, very nice time of year. Diwali today, carries a great sort of cultural festival, but actually it has very deep spiritual meaning. Diwali being the festival of lights, when Lord Ramchandra had conquered Ravan and recaptured his eternal consort, most beloved Mother Sita. And after being in exile in the forest for so many years, the residents of Ayodhya were anxiously waiting for Lord Ramchandra's return. And so when news spread that he was returning home, they lit candles, lamps all over the city to illuminate the city of Ayodhya, to welcome Lord Ram back home. And so, this lighting of lamps, it has many significance. One, it is, lighting a lamp that shines knowledge on our heart, in which we welcome the Supreme Lord into our hearts. As we'll see here, the Lord is actually residing in our heart all the time as Super Soul, Paramatma. But have we perceived and actually understood and welcomed Him into our hearts? So, and a light is also a sign of our devotion. It's a lamp of devotion. So we celebrate this great fight of good over evil. And so Diwali is a very wonderful festival. And the next day, the day after Diwali, is Govardhan Puja, which marks the new year in our Vedic calendar. And Govardhan Puja is a very wonderful pastime. We'll discuss more tomorrow. But Krishna himself inaugurated this puja. So many different sacrifices and rituals are there, given in the Vedas and different Shastra. But this Govardhan Puja, Krishna himself inaugurated. He personally instructed how to perform it. And then he not only instructed, he performed it himself amidst his mother, father, brother, elderly cowherd men and women, all the gopis, the gopas, cows, brahmanas, and like this, showed us this very important festival. And in our scriptures, our Shastra, Krishna himself in Srimad Bhagavatam says what the consequences of not observing Govardhan Puja. They are quite significant. So instead we'll take the positive of that, which is we're very fortunate. And so this Sunday we'll have a modified Govardhan Puja celebration amidst the current condition. It'll be an all-day festival, and devotees are welcome to join. You can just sign up for a time slot that would be convenient for you, just so we can manage the spacing throughout the day. But there will be a celebration from morning to night. And it is a great day to take blessings and to circumambulate the hill, because after Krishna completed Govardhan Puja, he led everybody on a circumambulation, a parikrama of Govardhan. So in the temple there will be a Govardhan hill, and by circumambulating that just 4 times, it is not different than circumambulating all the way in Sri Vrindavan down. So we're very fortunate. So participate. We'll speak more tomorrow about the significance of that, and then of course the lifting of Govardhan Hill. Very sweet pastime that we see in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we've been discussing chapter 13, and last week Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, by knowledge of the knower, both the soul and the super soul, one can relish the nectar of life. So he said, one wants to relish the nectar of life. We're all looking to relish that. And it comes from knowing the soul and the super soul. And we said that the soul has a specific relationship to the super soul of Krishna. And what is that relationship? Servant. And immediately when we hear servant, what is our initial reaction? Oh, I want to be master. So Krishna says subordinate to me. But we know in the spiritual world, who is the great winner or enjoyer in the spiritual world? Krishna's only goal in the spiritual world is to do what?
Enjoy.
With?
With devotees.
He just simply wants to give happiness to all of his devotees. And the devotees only have one goal. What do they want to do?
Please, Krishna.
Please Krishna. And it's truly a place of selfless service, and that results in just such great love and mood that everyone is in bliss. Here it's me, mine, right? And so we are working to come out of our conditioned state. So this chapter is explaining to us about, this material world and nature, and who is the real Purusha. Krishna is going to come in this coming verses speaking about Purusha. Because it's a misunderstanding of who is the real enjoyer that leads us to a difficult situation. So Prabhupada said, to relish the nectar of life, we must know the soul and the super soul. Okay? So let's read text number 14. Because here Krishna is speaking about the super soul. Somebody else is going to read a verse right? 14.
Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads, and faces. And he has ears everywhere. In this way, the super soul exists, pervading everything.
Report.
As the sun exists, diffusing its unlimited rays, so does the super soul, or supreme personality of Godhead. He exists in his all-pervading form, and in him exist all individual living entities, beginning from the first great teacher, Brahma, down to the small ants. There are unlimited heads, legs, hands, and eyes, and unlimited living entities. All these entities in and on the super soul. All are existing in and on the super soul. Therefore, the great super soul is all-pervading. The individual soul, however, cannot say that he has his hands, legs, and eyes everywhere. That is not possible. If he thinks that under ignorance he is not conscious that his hands and legs are diffused all over, but when he attains to proper knowledge, he will come to that stage. His thinking is contradictory. This means that the individual soul, having become conditioned by material nature, is not supreme. The supreme is different from the individual soul. The Supreme Lord can extend his hand without limit. The individual soul cannot. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that if anyone offers him a flower, or a fruit, or a little water, he accepts it. If the Lord is a far distance away, how can he accept things? This is the omnipotence of the Lord, and even though he is situated in his own abode, far, far away from earth, he can extend his hand to accept what everyone offers. That is his potency. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated, Goloka eva nivasatya akhilatama bhuta. Although he is always engaged in pastimes in his transcendental planet, he is all-pervading. The individual soul cannot claim that he is all-pervading. Therefore, this verse describes the supreme soul, the personality of Godhead, not the individual soul.
So, Krishna again spoke in the prior verse about Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me. Right? So which soul is he speaking about in that verse? Beginningless, but subordinate. That refers to all of us, right? That's the jiva. So in this verse, in 14, Krishna is referring to the super soul, right? So we see there's a difference between the soul and the super soul. What are the differences?
The individual soul is like the super soul is all pervading, can see everything, but the individual soul cannot.
Okay. So the super soul is all pervading. And what does it mean, all pervading?
Everywhere. He's in everything.
It's everywhere, in everything. sometimes we wish we could be in two places at once, right? We're so busy. Oh, how I can go. We wish we could be in two places at once. But Krishna is in all places at all times. How is that possible, right? That's very startling for us to understand. Yet at the same time, he resides in the spiritual world, all by, in this completely separate form. So, he is present everywhere through his Paramatma, through Super Soul. So Prabhupada gives the example. What example does he give at the very beginning of the purport? Of the all-pervasive nature. This is a very nice example. First line of the purport.
The sun exists diffusing its unlimited rays.
So how does the sun give an example of Krishna and the Super Soul present everywhere?
Because the sun is everywhere.
Because the sun is everywhere. Right?
Right.
You can feel the presence of the sun in every nook and corner, of course, during daylight. But where is the sun?
Not on Earth.
Not on Earth. It's situated 93 million miles away, so far, far away. Yet, we can say the sun is present everywhere. Okay? So like that, the Super Soul, it is all-pervading. It is a expansion. It's a reflective expansion, technically speaking, of Krishna through Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. So, but the point is, the technical aspect's not so important. What's important to understand is that the Super Soul is present in every single living entity. Right? Whereas the Jiva only knows what's happening in our own body. Right? If I'm walking and I stub my toe on the wall, on the corner of a wall, do you guys feel it? No. Because I have consciousness of my body. You have consciousness of your body. But Krishna, he's present in everywhere. So he has knowledge far beyond ours. And so we're very limited, and the Super Soul is unlimited. So the important point here now is that there's a distinction between Brahman, between the souls. The spirit soul is not the same as the Super Soul. One is very small, limited, and one is unlimited. Okay? And so what is the conclusion of knowing this? What is the only logical conclusion? Knowing I am limited, but the Supreme Lord is unlimited. Huh?
That there's only one God, or there's only one Supreme?
There's one Supreme. But if I'm limited, I must be maintained by somebody else then. I'm not my independent maintainer. Right? Think about it. Our existence in this world is dependent on so many things beyond our control, beyond our provision. Right? Simple sunlight, keeping that example. Can we exist without sunlight? No. How will the crops grow? How will the foods grow? What we will eat? We say, no, we can have flashlights. We can have powered lights. But without light, actually no foodstuffs will grow. Right? So, being very limited, it means we are being maintained by something else, at least something else. Certainly not our own maintenance, right? So Krishna is, we see this Nitya Nityananam Chaitanas Chaitananam, that among all the eternals, there's a supreme eternal. So the living entity, as we said last week, is beginningless. It's eternal. So Krishna is eternal, and the living entity is eternal. But are they of the same potency? No. So Krishna is making this very vividly known. Everywhere are his hands and legs, right? Can you be seated here and grab a mango? No.
No.
Right? But Krishna can. He can be seated anywhere and do amazing things. As we see here, he's lifting a mountain, And at the same time, he could be very, very far away or very near. So we see these distinctions to help us remember that though we are both eternal, we are eko bahanam. We are being maintained by one. Eko bahanam. We're being maintained by one. And who is that one who's maintaining all of us?
Krishna.
Krishna is our supreme maintainer. And so if someone is maintaining us, giving us so much facilities for existence, then don't we have some responsibility to acknowledge that? To understand and appreciate? Like if we are staying in somebody's house and they are providing us foodstuffs, a nice comfortable bed, place to rest and eat, all the things. But we went on ignoring that person who was maintaining, supporting us. How long they would let us stay in their house? Not very long. But Krishna is providing maintenance and support for all of us. But most of the conditioned world is living in ignorance, not understanding and acknowledging that Krishna is providing everything. So does Krishna abandon them? Does he abandon them? No, he's residing in every living entity, regardless of their consciousness. They're facilitating so many things for them. So this is the ultimate position that Krishna has. He never develops animosity towards us, even though we may deny his presence everywhere, the fact that he is maintaining all of us, forgetting our subordinate position to him. But Krishna still never holds any grudges. So he is all pervading and present everywhere. But while he is all pervading, we have to remember one important point. Krishna doesn't dissolve into this formless, all-present feature. Sometimes we think, because the Lord is everywhere, he's lost his position as a form, as a person. No, he's playing in the spiritual world with all of his devotees while simultaneously present everywhere in every single atom through his super soul Paramatma feature. So he's simultaneously far away in the spiritual world and at the same time very close in his Parama. So sometimes this can become very difficult for us to understand or contemplate, right? Because we can't do that. I can't be in my office and here at the same time. Just two places. I can't do that. So we think how Krishna can be present everywhere. Okay, if he's present everywhere, then he certainly has come down from the spiritual world to be present everywhere. No. He's remaining in the spiritual world. As this verse says, in Goloka Vrindavan. And at the same time. So these points simply help to illuminate for us that, the Supreme Lord is truly supreme. And we are his part and parcel. We also have a great soul. We are part and parcel of this great Supreme Lord. But let us not think that, some point we'll become supreme. And this is Krishna's, Srila Prabhupada's point. It's an interesting statement he says in the middle of his purport. If he thinks that under ignorance he is not conscious that his hands and legs are diffused all over, but when he attains to proper knowledge he will come to that stage, his thinking is contradictory. What is Prabhupada saying? What philosophy is Srila Prabhupada speaking about here? read that sentence again. It takes a second. If he thinks, under ignorance, he is not conscious that his hands and legs are diffused all over, but when he attains to proper knowledge, he'll come to that stage. His thinking is contradictory.
Thinking that one will become God?
Yes. So, many philosophers want to propound that, yes, I am limited today because I am conditioned by the material world. But when I become free from conditioning, I also become supreme. So Prabhupada is saying, if he thinks that by proper knowledge he'll come to that stage of being present everywhere, actually that thinking is contradictory. It is not correct. So the living entity is eternally the subordinate feature of the subordinate expansion of the Supreme Lord. So don't think, just because I have appeared in this material world, that I'm having this more limited feature. But when I, perfect and go back home to God, I become unlimited. And some spiritual philosophers try this, and it may be very palatable. You can become God. Wow. But actually that is factually incorrect. One is eternally the subordinate to the Supreme Lord. So Srila Prabhupada is making this point very, very nicely. And he says, a little bit later, that the Supreme is different from the individual soul. Right? So let's keep going now with some examples. What are some differences between the Supreme Soul, the Super Soul, and us as Spirit Soul? What are some other differences?
That he's without limit, where the individual soul is limited. It's kind of what we talked about.
Okay.
He can accept things even though he may be far away. We cannot.
If somebody halfway around the world bakes you an apple pie, can you enjoy that apple pie?
No.
You might just get a picture of it and see. But can you actually eat that apple pie? No. Can Krishna?
Yeah.
He accepts our offerings. Though he's situated in the spiritual world, having come and manifested into the Archa Vigraha form, he accepts everything that we offer him. Not only that, Krishna being the Super Soul, he can eat with his eyes. Imagine we said, okay, you have to just eat with your eyes. Will you be happy? No, we just get to look at all the food. But Krishna, all his senses are multi-purposed. Right? So he can see with his ears, he can hear with his mouth, he can eat with his eyes, like that. But we know we cannot do that, right? So throughout so much analysis, there's this idea. But when we say, Krishna can just glance over an offering and he's eaten it, again, what do we think? What is some initial reactions?
It's not possible. It's not possible.
It's not possible, right? And why do we think it's not possible?
Because we can't do it.
Because we can't do it. Because we can't do it, Krishna can't do it, right? And that's without any additional information. That's not bad logic, right? We infer, well, if I can't do it or nobody else has seen do it, then how Krishna can do it, right? So when Krishna is lifting the mountain with his left hand, immediately we think, oh, that's a nice story. It's a story. But we don't call it a story. We call it a lila, in a pastime, a historical fact. It's history. It's not mythology or story. It's a historical event. But because we can't do it, we think, how Krishna can do it? And so what this means is we have to be very careful not to try to observe or understand the Supreme Lord by our own experiences. Because the limited, by definition, cannot know the unlimited. Just like a child in a home. A child in a home, like a young child, they have very little understanding of what it goes into, like maintaining a house, right? Going to the office and working and all the activity. They have very little understanding. They can't understand it because they're still relatively young, small. But a child may think, this is easy. And the mother and father laugh and say, really? You want to try it for a day? But the child is simply going off of what they know. Right? So as we grow, we do the same thing with the Supreme Lord. We start to think, oh, his hands and legs are everywhere. It's speaking metaphorically, maybe symbolically, but no, it's actually the fact. And so we have to avoid this tendency to try to apply our own understanding or our own experience or ability to the Supreme Lord. Because again, we are limited and Krishna is unlimited. So that's the main point Krishna has made here in these two sets of verses. Again, the process of knowledge we discussed previously, to come to know the soul and the super soul. If I know these two things and that relationship, then I can truly achieve perfection of life. So, that's verse number 14. Anything else anybody saw in the purport and want to discuss? Or any questions or comments?
That's what's called omnipotent? Is that what's called omnipotent?
Yeah.
To be in one place and then...
Yeah, omnipotence means that he is present everywhere and his ability is never faded, right? For example, if for some way I could split myself in two, then I'd have 50% of my ability here and 50% here. But Krishna, in his presence everywhere, his potency is not minimized. He is fully potent, sitting as Paramatma, super soul, in our heart. So the potency of Krishna being all pervading, if you have a drop of food coloring, right? It's very concentrated color. But then if I drop in a glass of water, that color is present everywhere, but it's now diluted, right? The color is less concentrated. But Krishna, when he becomes present everywhere, he remains fully potent. So he is not, again, 1 minus 1 equals 1 in spiritual math. Right? So this omnipotence means that he is present everywhere with full potency. Not that because he has divided himself or he is present everywhere, he is now fractioned off. No. And that again is a concept we struggle because we think of a fixed pie. Right? If I have a bag of apples, I take one apple out, I have one apple less. But that works in material understanding. That's the meaning of omnipotence. Anything else strike anyone or any other questions? Any questions online? chant. Any questions, sir? Okay. All right. Anyways, the next several weeks we'll be continuing this discussion of the super soul. Krishna is going to give many more sort of descriptions. We'll probably read just a couple of those verses to really solidify this understanding of the distinction between soul and super soul. So, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Vedanta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda